Could you help explain to our audience what is this concept that you've created, this decentralized employment organization, and why it's different than a regular DAO?
Yeah, so the main thing about, I'm going to run just through a couple of things here, and I'm just going to switch to a slide here and why this is so important, and I'm going to kind of tee it up, and then I'm going to go into exactly how this works. So the thing that's, when you think about crypto and blockchain as a social movement, what I think of it is actually more of a political movement, but it's not political in the typical sense. It is technologically political and it's social in nature, but it's also going to be implemented in a much different way than traditional governance, and decisions are made in sort of the tyranny of the minor majority, two-party system stuff that we do. This is a new dimension. It's a completely new dimension of political, mutual aid societies built on blockchain has so much potential. Yes, Stefan, they absolutely do. You are correct. So call them cooperative organizations, guilds, whatever you want to call them. These aren't necessarily new concepts. We're just making them new. Back to the concept here, the single common commercial experience. If we're going to get people, regular people, involved in these new social and political systems that allow them to choose from where, with whom, and how much they want to work, talk about liberty, right? What if I was able to allocate my time and attention literally on demand and make a really healthy income and take 3 months off and never lose my healthcare? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
It'd be really cool, okay? But the road to doing that, you got to look at the whole landscape of crypto and blockchain. Is it DeFi? Is it DAOs? Maybe. Is it NFTs? Probably not. Is it just cryptocurrencies and tokens? Probably not. So what are the real social fabrics that impact most people? Well, payroll is the biggest surface area of any activity that everyone does globally. So when we came to this conclusion, we said, well, look, what if we could build a truly egalitarian public utility infrastructure for employment and benefits on a global basis and let people just opt into it? And then build all the other things on top of it that a person needs to function, like even being connected with work opportunities and deal flow and communities and all the other things that they want to get involved in. Those would be all sort of built as sort of part of the employment Lego stack. But the core framework, that baseline, is compliance, withholding, benefits, employment, and all of the different sort of necessary evils that people have to do. So when we built this, let me come down to some of the infrastructure stuff here. Okay, so let me use a story and sort of give you an example of how this works. So this is actually one of our members. Her name's not really Emily, but we just use that for fun. So Emily has been involved in the software development community for more than 6 years, but she's been freelancing for 6. Now, she used to work at a big, let's just call it one of the FANG companies, right? She used to do software development. She had a really good gig, but she had a couple of kids and she's married, and it's really important to her for freedom and flexibility. She needs that flexibility for her family. So she took the leap, but it's come at a big cost. So she's now facing almost $4,000 more per year for healthcare insurance. She's spending thousands of dollars a year on just administering her business. She's juggling 30 projects at one time. She's getting paid in cryptocurrencies and things. It's a very difficult thing for her to manage. It's rather stressful, actually. But is the stress enough to give up the independence? No way. I mean, her freedom and flexibility is the thing that gives her the most value for her family. So when she's joining Opolis, though, what it does is, as an individual solopreneur, she can now plug into a shared services and employment stack that basically replicates that big company experience of employment, simplifies managing her business administratively, but also gives her the typical benefits of group healthcare and all the discounts and group purchasing power, but she doesn't have to give up her independence. She's not subjugated to anyone. It's her employing her because of the legal framework that we have. So she can consolidate all her retirement plans. She can pay herself in cryptocurrency and fiat currencies. She can be compliant with silly laws like AB5 in the state of California, where it forces platforms to hire people as W-2s, which comes at a cost, right? You got to give up control of your time. So she just absolutely loves this. Now, her benefits and how this works is, and I'll get into some, I actually have a different deck that I'll probably pull up to show a few of these, like a couple legal, I'll give you some idea of legal stuff if you guys want to see it and how we do it. But her experience is exactly like what she's used to. So remember safety and security? Remember how I said that that was really important? Yes. Well, it's still important. She just values her freedom over it. So she's choosing, it's sort of the, it's an either or kind of thing. Well, I can have my freedom, but I don't get the safety and security. So it's like, which do I value more? Well, the people that you see freelancing by choice are choosing the freedom. That's what they want. And those that choose to work for a company are choosing the perception of safety and security, even though I don't think it's real. I think it's a mirage. So with this, you're actually getting to see how we're replicating this employment experience. So the employment experience is group healthcare, dental, vision. I can even set my holiday time and pay myself holidays to keep things consistent for me. I can choose to design my employment however I want. Now, all the back office stuff that gets done typically by a sophisticated corporate environment. So let's say, I mean, any company USA, when you work for a company, they're doing all of this stuff for you. The thing that stinks is when you go out on your own, you now have to do it for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now the shared services stack of the employment cooperative does it for you. So you don't have to, you're not paying huge dollars for accountants and attorneys and stuff. It's basically a 1% consumption fee, and the stack takes care of the rest of it for you. So now your employment, which is hosted by you, looks, feels, and acts just like the typical employment that you would see working for a W-2 company.
I think
we're basically recreating the entire thing.
So it's like you've created a way so that as an individual, I can join this collective. And to some extent, when it comes to choosing between, I don't have to choose anymore. I don't have to choose between security and freedom anymore. To some extent, it's like exactly I can have my cake and eat it too situation.
That's correct. So there's an old principle in an old school business book called Good to Great. If you haven't read it, it's actually a really good read. The guy that wrote it actually did a lot of the research at University of Colorado, and it's a very well-respected book. But there's a concept in there called the tyranny of the or and the genius of the and. So when you look at business models that really succeed, they don't make trade-offs. They do both. Right? So Amazon isn't, or excuse me, or Amazon or Netflix or whatever. Netflix is probably a better example because I have my criticisms of Amazon. Netflix is cheaper, better, faster. They charge you $13 a month, and they got more content in there than a person could consume in a year. And it's like, who ever thinks about getting rid of their Netflix? Nobody. Why? Because all I gotta do is give up 2 cups of coffee and I can pay for it, right? This was their entire business model. We're not competing with cable. This is an add-on, so we need to make it feel like an add-on. And look at their usership, right? They're in hundreds of millions of people because they've made it cheaper, better, faster. So in terms of employment, it really boils down to that duality. It's the duality between freedom and flexibility and safety and security. And the real trick is you do both. It's not giving up one for the other. And this is where a community-owned, employment cooperative with, tokenized incentives and value distribution and all of that come into play, because it's not that easy of a thing to build. I mean, I've been in the space for 20 years, and God, it took me 17 of it to really even get the right idea on how to solve it.